Welcome back to the Control the Chaos Mama podcast. Here we have life and launch strategy for the ADHD entrepreneur, the creative rebel. Maybe you're even an Enneagram 8 Wing 7 and you just need a little control. I'm actually all of those things, and so I can't wait to kind of dive in and teach you guys all about how you can do this one thing to give yourself some peace. If you're probably thinking, did she just mention ADHD and peace and entrepreneur all in one? Isn't that kind of this big oxymoron? Well, what I wanted to show you guys is that simply by giving yourself a permission slip to rest, then you will be able to free yourself from the timelines. And what I'm saying is when you operate on someone else's timeline by when things should be posted or when things should be done or how long you have to launch something or how frequently you have to put a podcast out, what that does is it limits you. It makes you feel like you're constricted. It makes you feel like you are doing a business you don't want to. And I want to take you some time to kind of pause and think of, why did you decide to do a business? Why are you dreaming of starting your own business? I'm guessing it has to do with freedom. And so through this podcast, I really want to take you guys through this self-awareness journey to where, yes, we're going to learn self-management tools. We're going to learn how to make good choices in the way of kind of making it easier for our brains to kind of go the right way and to make it more fun, maybe front-loading the fun, maybe taking a gut check, like, do I actually want to do this? Is this still fun? And if it's not, then taking steps to either rest or to pivot, but giving yourself that permission slip that you can actually change. So I've actually done this over the past couple months. I decided that, you know what? The podcast wasn't as fun. I wasn't feeling like it had the clarity that I wanted. And so I took a step back, and that was really hard for me. So I kind of entered this period of waiting. And so if you are looking for some clarity, I suggest that you maybe take a simplified look at your life and your business and see what are the must-haves that I need to do and where do I need the clarity. Because here's the thing, one of the problems with being multi-passionate or ADHD, it isn't that we can't focus, it's that we can't control what we're focusing on, and the new and the novelty of everything that is fun or that is going to give us that return of dopamine or excitement is going to win. And so if we're not feeling that, then maybe it's time to take a step back and reevaluate just what we're doing. And that doesn't mean that you have to switch businesses every 2 months whenever it's not as fun. And of course, do not stop in the messy middle whenever it might seem like, you just are on the other side of a big breakthrough. That is not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is giving yourself some permission to rest, to journal, to maybe have a clarity call with somebody, maybe do a journal brain dump. I call them walk talks because there's something about walking and talking that just gets my brain such clarity. You don't even have to talk to someone else. Just open the Voxer app and just brain dump everything going on that's swirling in your head. Because here's the thing, I think when we verbally process, it makes it to where our ideas have somewhere to land versus the paralysis that happens when it's just swirling around. And so I'm hoping that with this very simple tip that you guys can take a permission slip to let yourself rest and to come back with it simpler. So in that, I want to share with you guys that through this time, I've actually simplified so many things. I made a really hard decision and stepped back from a community marketing and growth strategist with someone that I really love. I don't know if you guys have checked out the Stephanie Gass show, but I was community marketing and growth strategist for her. Big Picture Strategy, our group with female Christian entrepreneurs, and I still definitely love all of you ladies over there. I will still be visiting your group, and but I had to simplify. So I'm just asking, what is in your life right now that you need to simplify? Because here's the truth of it. You are either spending money or time for all the things in your life that you have a choice of. And so it's kind of like, am I going to give the time or the money to these things, to these ideas? Because your ideas are amazing. It's just trying to weed out what ones we need to put the money and the time to, and which ones we need to just put on the back burner. And I keep joking around because TikTok has me wanting to make stickers right now. I have so many good ideas of some podcast workflow stickers and some, social media management, workflows where we could just check off the power hour type of thing. So it's like, oh, go in, done. Social media doesn't run my life anymore. Let me get out. But I'm not letting myself yet. If you guys want those stickers, come at me in the Instagram or in the Messenger, because then I'll have incentive. It'll be more fun because it won't be just for me, right? Anyway, I digress. But I want to give you guys the permission to take a rest, to pivot, give you permission to just move without knowing the outcome, to just decide that you're going to just give yourself some time to breathe and then have the clarity to move, okay? And that might not be the most popular advice, but I want to explain all of the good things that came out for me. So I actually, the multi-passionate, the one that would never niche in her life, I niched with my photography business. I'm actually going to have Destiny Tillery on. She has a podcast. It's called IPS Made Easy. I changed my whole model for photography, and I also made it to where I am only going to be shooting about one day a month, which is like, what? And I don't know if that's going to be totally rigid, maybe not for fall, because, everyone loves those leaves. But I decided to swap all the way to boudoir photography to really look at my story, which I'll have another episode on that, because if you can tie your choices to some emotional stories that matter to you, you're going to be more likely to hold on to them, even whenever it doesn't feel as, shiny and new. And so after some evaluation, it was kind of like, I really love being able to see women push past their self-limiting beliefs. And yes, that's in business, but it's also with photography and beauty. And it's kind of almost a homage, I feel like, to my mom, as she was a very, she was a yo-yo dieter and really hard on herself. And I know I mentioned it in a previous letter, but I found a letter where she was 16 years old writing to her friend, and it just broke my heart the way that she talked about herself. And so I am actually working to rewrite some of that with my photography. And because I was able to tie that with emotion, I know it's the right step because it has a story, and stories are so important. And yes, so here it is. Angel wants to make stickers, but Angel also wants to do boudoir photography. But one of those is connected to a very deep-rooted story that is more than just photography. Okay. And so I want to tell you guys that I wouldn't have been able to do that unless I gave myself the permission slip to rest, to focus on one thing. So it's kind of like I took all of these lights and just put them into this one single beam so that it could really, project farther. And so it could be clear. It's almost like those old school, I'm showing my age. Tomorrow's my birthday. Actually, when you guys hear this, it'll be my birthday. So I'll be 38. And those old school projectors that they would focus, like they'd put on the little laminating slide things and they would have to focus it. And I feel like that's what it is. It's like trying to get that light in focus so that you can really see with clarity what it is. And so maybe it will give you just that next step, that light enough to where you can see the next step and then the next step and then the next step. And so I'm really excited about the new podcast because I feel like helping women to launch your ideas, to act on your ideas, even if, you guys, it's not even about, yes, I am so good at Facebook engagement and I'm good at social media and I can help you with all those, but it's not about who shows up and comments on your stuff or who even buys it. Yes, you want to have the money and all that, but the fact that you finish it is going to increase your confidence so much. And so I'm really excited for doing this with some life launch strategy so that we can finally get your ideas out in the world. And then wouldn't it be just so weird that out of all the books that I feel like got drawn to me as I was looking for homeschool, I was just kind of on social media. I think it was TikTok actually. And someone read this book and showed it, so I went and found it, and it's called What Do You Do with an Idea? And I was like, oh my gosh. And it's such a cute book. It's by, I'm going to butcher the name, Kobe Yamada, and it's a New York Times bestseller. It's a picture book, so go get it for your kids. But I just wanted to, this is such a weird episode. If this is your first episode ever, please listen on because they're not typically like this. But I did want to read it to you real quick. And like I said, I've never done this before, but I thought it was such a good message and such, yes, it's for kids, but it's like, I know I need this. I know you need this. If you have ideas, if you are feeling lack of confidence, if you're like all revved up and ready to go with an idea, but then something happens, maybe it's a comment someone says, or maybe it's, it really could be anything to where you pull back. And so I just want to give you guys some encouragement and to tell you guys that all your ideas, even if there's a lot swirling around, what do you do with an idea? Well, what do you do with a lot of ideas? It's really the same thing. And here we go. One day I had an idea. Where did it come from? Why is it here? I wondered, what do you do with an idea? At first, I didn't think much of it. It seemed kind of strange and fragile. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just walked away with it. I acted like it didn't belong to me, but it followed me. I worried what others would think. What would people say about my idea? I kept it to myself. I hid it away and didn't talk about it. I tried to act like everything was the same as it was before my idea showed up. But there was something magical about my idea. I had to admit it. I felt better and happier when it was around. It wanted food. It wanted to play. Actually, it wanted a lot of attention. It grew bigger and we became friends. I showed it to other people even though I was afraid of what they would say. I was afraid that if people saw it, they would laugh at it. I was afraid they would think it was silly. And many of them did. They said it was no good. They said it was too weird. They said it was a waste of time and that it would never become anything. And at first, I believed them. I actually thought about giving up on my idea. I almost listened to them. And then I realized, what do they really know? This is my idea, I thought. No one knows it like I do. And it's okay if it's different and weird and maybe a little crazy. I decided to protect it, to care for it. I fed it good food. I worked with it. I played with it. But most of all, I gave it my attention. My idea grew and grew, and so did my love for it. I built it a new house, one with an open roof where it could look up at the stars, a place where it could be safe to dream. I liked being with my idea. It made me feel more alive, like I could do anything. It encouraged me to think big, and then to think bigger. It shared its secrets with me. It showed me how to walk on my hands because, it said, it is good to have the ability to see things differently. I couldn't imagine my life without it. Then one day, something amazing happened. My idea changed right before my very eyes. It spread its wings, took flight, and burst into the sky. I didn't know how to describe it, but it went from being here to being everywhere. It wasn't just a part of me anymore. It was now a part of everything. And then I realized, what do you do with an idea? You change the world. And so I happened to, after I planned the launch and everything and had already made the art and I knew the tagline and I knew what I wanted to do for this podcast and who I wanted to serve. And then we got that book and I was like, oh my gosh. And so I just wanted to kind of give you guys the encouragement of what do you need to do with your idea? You need to change the world, but also by being yourself. And so I hope that this podcast helps you own that. I hope it helps you to gain self-awareness, self-worth, push past self-sabotage. And then also, of course, there is going to be an aspect of self-control, building up some habits and coping mechanisms that can help us to focus better. And then self-talk, like reframing our thoughts and giving us some mindset work that I know will help us to kind of push ahead whenever our energy is low. Speaking of energy, don't forget to check out the next episode. It is going to be all about energy and how to maximize your energy for your launch using cycle syncing. This is going to be something that is going to blow your mind. If you've never heard of it, go back and check out our first episode on it. It kind of gives you the rundown of the basics, and then we're going to use that information to show you how you can inform your launch and really prioritize energy. Before you go, if you found value in today's show, or you learned something new, or maybe you just want to come over and tell me happy birthday, come and find me over on IG at controlthechaosmama_ADHD. I would love to hear what you're thinking of the show, and maybe even if you want those stickers. All right, until next time, wishing you a calm and peaceful night. Angel.